Okay, so we've got everything out. In this video, we're not doing the woodworking. We're going to finish up a craft project that my wife wanted done. She bought this tin can. It was a pail, had a handle on it that I'd cut off at a dollar store. And I believe she also found this light. It's got some solar panels on top, so I guess you could use it outside, but it's going to be an inside decoration. She got that at a dollar store. And a couple of bags of these rocks, also from the dollar store. So I filed the corners off on this light a little bit, just so that it would fit inside the rim of the bottom of this pail. Painted the pail white, just so any background that shows, it'll be a white background behind it rather than the blue color that it was. So all we're doing is we're using silicone to apply these rocks to this. I've tried a hot melt glue gun and they just don't hold. After it sits for a while, they start to fall off, or just the least little bump and they start falling off of it. So the silicone works really good. I've used these stones in silicone before on a wooden birdhouse. Turned out really nice. It was given away to some families to put family members to put up at their cottage. We might do another one of those someday just to put out here in the backyard ourselves. I got some scrap, very thin pieces of scrap wood out of my garbage can, and I've just cut a couple strips of those and glued them on as a door. Well, it's a little bit taller than it probably should be. We'll just cover up the top part with the rocks once we get around there. So this was an older tube of silicone I had that's just about empty. So all we're doing is squeezing that on the side of it, turning the can. It's easier than trying to position the pail, rather, I keep saying can, and going around it. And we're doing this kind of row by row. Stuff is very sticky, so you want to have a glove of some sort on. And it's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle. You want to have, it's not going to be completely filled in, but you want the spaces filled in as much as you can without making it too much of a challenge. So the idea is to cover the entire side with stones, and then once they've set and the silicone has cured, it'll take about 24 hours to fully cure. Then we come back and we go over top of this with some varathane, put a couple of very heavy coats of varathane over it, and it looks really nice when it's done. So I say we already had started. I had 3 rows on here already. This is my 4th row of stone now. I think I'll have enough stone to finish it off. The higher I get, the less it's going to take, because the diameter of the pail is smaller as we go up. And you get all different size stones to choose from, so you get different shapes. If it leaves a little bit of an empty spot, sometimes you just need to find a small one to fill in a small hole that you have or something like that. There's different colored stones, a lot of white ones, a lot of black ones. You might decide that you want to have it more white around the door or more black, something like that. It's up to you. It's your project, your design. You know where it's going to be in your house when it's finished, what colors you might want to have showing. A little bit of a gob in one spot there, I just spread it out a little bit. We'll just finish off this row and give you an idea of, you'll have an idea, I guess, of how long it takes to get around it with one row. It's not that time consuming. And I think I'm going to bring this one down over top of that door just a little bit, because the door is a little bit too high. really small when we have a small space at the end of our row. So there you go. That's what we're going to have for a door on it. Maybe we'll cut a couple more strips of that stuff. Maybe we'll put a couple of windows on it on the way up. They can be painted afterwards before we put the Varathane over top of it. So we'll get this finished off. Put our light on. We'll figure out, maybe we'll just stick that in some silicone also, just to hold it on the top. And it'll be another project that'll be out of my way. I always end up with lots of projects started and not finished. And I didn't realize until I really started looking around at what I had on the go. I didn't realize how many projects I had half complete. You know, everything we've done in the last few videos with the picture frames. There was that window that she wanted hung on a wall with some lighting behind it. The repair on the planer. There was just, this is another one. And I've still got a couple more projects yet that I have started and just never got around to finishing off. So, surprising how much stuff just gets left undone. So that's all for now. I'll do some more of this, and when it gets closer to being finished up to the top, we'll come back. We're still coming along. I gotta switch tubes for silicone here. My other tube was a partial tube that I'd started with and it finally ran out. So I have to get a new tube in, and we're almost to the top. I didn't look at the clock when we started this, but I don't think it's taken, it doesn't feel like it's taken very long to get there. Definitely starting to get some weight of stone on there now though. And I think we're gonna have just enough to finish this off. So I'll change my silicone tube and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we're up to the top. I've got all of our stones on. We had enough. We had just a handful of stones left by the time we were done. We did a couple of windows on the way up, the same as we had done the door. So we did one above the door, one a little bit lower, and then we did one somewhere right near the top. I've never been in a lighthouse, but from what I've seen in some of the movies, they have a spiral staircase inside, so the windows are at different heights as you go up. We wrapped the stone right up over the top onto the light a little bit. The battery and stuff is in the lid of this, so it's just a quarter turn and it comes off, so it didn't matter if I stuck that light right to it. So we've done that. I haven't pulled the little tab they have out of there yet to activate the light at all to see how it looks, but we'll do that when it's done. So that needs 24 hours for the silicone to completely cure. And when you're doing this kind of a thing, if you're working with stone on this or a birdhouse or anything else, put the silicone on heavy, because your surface, especially on this, was round. The rocks are not flat, so you want a good depth of silicone there to be able to stick the rocks in. You'll get some that'll ooze out in between the stones. As long as you don't have any big tails of it like hanging out, it's not going to matter, because you're going to go over all of that with Varathane, and you're going to put it on very heavy anyhow. So this has been a short video for that actual project. So I thought I'd also mention, I always keep a notepad handy on the workbench and just jot things down that I think of. And I started to make a list of some of the other projects that are going to come up, because I said this isn't going to be just a woodworking station or channel. I got a piece of driftwood here that the wife picked it up someplace one day when we were out walking around. It's been sitting here in the garage for a few years now, and I think we're probably going to get around to trying to make a lamp out of this piece of driftwood. It'll go nice out in the sunroom. So that's on our list of things to do. My son he's into playing guitar, and he had an acoustic guitar, his first one, and when it was wore out, got broken, he decided to turn it into a lamp. So he gave it his best shot, and I'll just show you here. So he cut the, I might get the terminology wrong, I don't know a lot about guitars other than they can get very loud when he's playing his. So he cut the neck off, drilled a hole and put this light socket in, put a couple pieces of wood on the back for a brace to hold it in that position. The light socket he chose is an old one, it's wore out. There's still holes from where the neck was. a lot of chips on it just from when he had it and was using it. So I think we may try and clean that up. We'll find a better light socket and we'll mount it differently so we can actually put a shade on that if it's meant to sit on a table, so that the light is straight up and down and not on the same angle as that guitar is. So that's another project that we'll get to. We have the old car. We need to take the doors apart this year on it, this winter. Not sure if it'll be winter when this video airs, but it is right now. But we need to take the doors apart. The weather stripping on them needs to be replaced. And on the inside door panels, they was like a felt material along the top of the panel where the window would rub up against as it goes up and down. And that felt completely wore out. We have replaced it once, and it wasn't something I could buy as a part to put on. It's a part of the door panel. So I went to a fabric store and bought a 1-inch wide strip of like a black velvet velour type material, and I put it on with a hot melt glue gun, and it worked good for 1 or 2 years. And now with the windows going up and down over that period of time, it's decided to start falling off. The hot melt glue is not holding it. So I think the material is still good. We just need to find a better way to attach it. For the weather stripping, or the window sweep as they call them, it goes along on the outside of the glass along the top of the door. When you're rolling your window down, it would sweep the water off the window, that sort of stuff. I've looked online to buy the correct part for the car, and there's lots out there that claim to be the one to fit it. But when you look at the photos and blow up the images that they have, they're a completely different design. So I don't know if they're just using the same picture repeatedly to advertise the product and then listing the different makes and models that they'll fit, and therefore the pictures don't match the descriptions. But I haven't seen one yet that looks like what I have, so I'm afraid to buy them online. And if they don't work out, they're not cheap, and then if you're stuck with them, you can't return them or something. I just don't want to take that chance. So I had some weather stripping material that was for a completely different application, but I was able to make it work on one of the doors last year, and I only did one because I wasn't sure if it would work, but it stood up very well. It does what it's supposed to do. It looks good. So I think we're going to put that on the other 3 doors this year. So that was on our list of things to do. I have a skylight in the kitchen, and when you look up inside the skylight, it doesn't look like anyone ever finished putting trim around the light to the drywall. The way they've built it, it looks like there's a gap up there. So I want to get up there and trim that out. We have a new light to put up in the kitchen. There's a 4-foot fluorescent light in the kitchen right now. Wife hates it. It doesn't provide very good lighting. So we actually went to a Habitat for Humanity store last weekend looking for other lighting, and we found some halogen lights. It's got 3 arms on it, a total of 6 bulbs. You can change the direction of them and focus them where you want them to be. So we're going to do that. She thought it'd already be done, and I've told her it's going to end up being a big job. I know it, because when you take that fluorescent light down, chances are the ceiling's going to be a different color. There could be holes under there that need to be patched. So it's going to become more than just changing a light fixture. So we have that on the list. We've still got a ton of flooring that we want to take out and replace with ceramic tile. So hopefully we get to that this year and do some ceramic tile work on the floors. We have a table in the front hallway that someone had given us, and it's a nice table, older design, but needs a serious refinishing job done on it. So we have that. We have a barrel out behind the shed outside that I've had for a 1.5 years now sitting there. It's supposed to become a rain barrel. So we need to look into making it into a rain barrel, putting it on a stand, or whatever we need to do for that. The sunroom that we've built still hasn't got eaves troughs on it yet. We need to put eaves troughs on that. The flower beds, I've always wanted to try and pour some cement curbs around the flower beds. So we may give that a shot this year. I haven't done much work with cement at all. What do they call it? Parging that's on the foundation of your house. I had a bunch of that peeling off last year, so I did replace that, and that went all right. The only other cement work I've ever done is cementing a fence post in the ground where no one's ever going to see the cement anyhow. So trying to pour curbs, that might be something new and interesting. The lighthouse I can cross off my list now, that's done. And a bed, an actual bed that we would sleep in. She's been after me for many, many years to build a new set of bedroom furniture. And we have a frame, the mattress is on the frame, that's it. There's no headboard, no footboard. She's been more than patient. It's been 15 years now it's been like that. So I think we might try and get around to doing a headboard and a footboard for the bed this year. That'll be a summertime project because I need to get the old car out of the garage for that because I need more space. And I'm thinking I'm going to build it out of the skid wood. It can be made to look good and it's all free. What else? I've said before, I don't promote anyone's product or knock anyone's product. I'll just tell you my experiences with it. And all of this is from the dollar store. This whole lamp cost $5. And one of the other things I always buy there is these disposable gloves. And I've never really paid attention to the brand on them before. They usually last me for one project. When the project's done, so are the gloves. These ones are called VersaTouch, and I'm going to buy these ones again. I've been using these recently and I can't believe how many times I can reuse them. They stand up. I've used them now with the Varathane, with stains, with the silicone, with paint, and the same pair is still going. It's got paint on it, Varathane on it, and everything else, and it hasn't started to degrade or eat the material at all, which is typically what happens to me on these things. So that's definitely a good product. Dollar store item again for that glove. There's 10 in that package for $1.25, so they're going to last out well. So this has got a set. We'll come back in 24 hours time. We'll see what color she wants these doors and stuff painted and the windows, and we'll get some Varathane on it. Well, it's been 24 hours and then some. I don't know, it probably won't show up in there. It looks pretty much the same as it did last time you saw it. It was finished, had the top on, but didn't have the Varathane on. I've got 2 good heavy coats of Varathane on it now. The doors, windows are painted. One of the windows black. They're kind of rustic looking, like paint's peeling off of them and stuff. So we did the painting on the doors and the windows, went over the whole thing with 2 good coats of Varathane. Still haven't tried the light. Hopefully it does actually work. And it is going to go outside in our sunroom this year, so that's where it will be. I was talking about some other projects that I had on my list of things to do, and I thought of some more while I was waiting for all of this stuff to dry. We have an old copper kettle, and I don't think it's ever been cleaned. It was something we picked up at a yard sale just because the old design of it looked really nice. So we may try and do some cleaning and polishing on that. I got a 6-inch bench grinder. We can get the bench grinder out, put the buffing wheels and stuff on it, and get the compounds out for it, and see how that goes, trying to polish an old kettle, copper kettle up. We need to remove the starter on the riding lawnmower this year and see, I don't know if we need to rebuild the starter or not. It wants to jam or lock up. You keep hitting the key over and over and it's locked, like it doesn't want to turn. Rock the lawnmower back and forth a bit and try and change the position of it, and eventually the thing will start. So we need to pull the starter out and see what's happening with that. We have a fence post broke off. It's temporarily braced for now to get through the winter. We'll need to replace the fence post next year. Grow lights. Gardening season will be coming around in another couple months. So she's going to have to get her seeds started in the house. So we need to build a stand with some grow lights in it. And I mentioned changing the 4-foot fluorescent light that we have in the kitchen. So that light will get reused in the plant stand. And I had one other 4-foot fluorescent light already that was an extra one out here in the shop. So we've earmarked that for the grow lights also. that'll probably be the next project after. We'll change the kitchen light so we have that one available, and then we'll get into that the grow light stand. We had what they called a deck on the west side of this house, and I don't know if there's a minimum requirement for size to be able to call it a deck, but this thing was small. It was 4 feet by 7 feet, big enough for 2 chairs and a very small table, and that was it. And it was getting rather rotten, so before anybody got hurt on it, we tore it down last year, but we still need to figure out if we're going to build an actual deck, something a little larger in place of it, or maybe we'll just put in a set of stairs and do a ground patio or something there. It's not a heavily used area at all on that side of the house. It's narrow to the property line where the fence is. There's a lot of weed growth and stuff coming through the fence, and it's not the prettiest area of the yard to sit in, but we may try and do something over there and maybe build a better privacy fence or something like that. We have a barbecue that we bought at a scratch and dent sale a few years back. Got it really cheap. It was a nice stainless steel 4-burner barbecue, but it was missing a door, missing the shelves on the sides that you would put your plates and stuff on. So I built some wooden shelves for the side of it. I never did anything about the missing door. So maybe this year we'll actually make some doors for it or something to dress it up a little bit. We have a bench in the yard, like a park bench, just a small one for 2 people. And the wood's also getting kind of rotten on that. So that we're gonna purchase some cedar and we'll cut it into the strips that we need. And we'll refinish it all and fix the bench all up. Outside water tap. Need to get an outside water tap hooked up on this house. And there's tons of painting to do. I think we're going to probably go through the entire house this winter and probably paint everything in the house. So there's more and more on the list. But that's it for our Lighthouse project though. And hopefully I've given you an idea of what you'll see in some future videos, and something there will interest you and you'll come back and check it out. Thank you for watching.